Number one is idfa billati hiya ahsan. You return by doing good to the person who hurt you. If it's too difficult to show any more kindness, any more love to the person who hurt you, then the second thing you are expected to try and do is then at least forgive. You will not retaliate. You will not extract justice. You will forgive and try and forget. And even if you can't forget, at least you are forgiven. But if that is difficult, and you cannot do any of those two, then you should be just. Whatever hurt was caused, you will, through the legal channels, cause the same hurt, or make the same hurt be caused by the other. In other words, the pain is reciprocated. However, Allah warns you, do not do more harm to the other than was done to you. Because then you have a problem now with Allah. Whatever problem you had with this person, you're just complicating your problem. In other words, the worst treatment you can expect from a God-conscious person, the worst behavior, is going to stop at being just. They will be fair. And so when people talk about look for somebody who fears Allah, let that be your minimum. And if they are God-fearing and they understand that they want Allah's rahmah, they also understand the advice of the Prophet ﷺ, show rahmah on others so that he who is in heaven will show his rahmah on you. They understand that if you do not show rahmah to others, Allah will not show rahmah on you. Somebody asked the Prophet ﷺ, of all the things I should fear about Allah, what would you consider top on the list? The man said, Prophet ﷺ said to the man, you should fear Allah's anger with you. And he asked the Prophet, and what should I do so as to avoid Allah's anger with me? We keep praying Allah, Ihdina siratal mustaqim, siratal ladhina anamta alayhim, ghayril maghdubi alayhim. You know, you ask Allah for guidance, the path of those who earn your favor, not the path of those who earn your anger. The man asked the Prophet, what should I do so that Allah is not angry with me? And the Prophet ﷺ said, don't you get angry with others. A person who cares about God consciousness is one who would really do their best to restrain their anger, will not allow their anger to get into the way of their relationship with Allah. And so the topic of God consciousness, as Sheikh Ibrahim mentioned, it's not just when you hear righteousness, being a good Muslim, having taqwa, it's not about acts of worship. That's introduction to the whole subject. Taqwa is measured by the amount of rahmah and compassion you have towards others. If you have no compassion to others, stop deceiving yourself into believing, I'm a good Muslim, I have taqwa. The Prophet ﷺ said, Allah is more impressed by the ignorant believer who is kind and helpful to others than the strict, regular worshipper who is miserly and has no good to offer others. When the Prophet was told about a lady, she was very serious. She died. And she was told about the Prophet ﷺ was told about her that she was very kind. People liked her. She was good to people, but she was not very serious when it came to acts of piety. She just did the bare minimum. The Prophet ﷺ said, Hiya fil Jannah, she is in paradise. And then was told about another woman. She prayed and fasted and did all the right things to do with ibadah. But she had nothing good to say about people, and people had nothing good to say about her. And the Prophet said, Hiya fin nar, she is in hell. Don't get deceived by just acts of worship if it doesn't change you to do good. The Prophet spoke a lot about ihsan, higher than just being a Muslim, a mu'min, being a muhsin, somebody with ihsan. And somebody asked the Prophet ﷺ, how can I know if I have that level of ihsan? What can I use to measure my level of ihsan in the, on the scale of things? And the Prophet ﷺ said, if your neighbors say you have ihsan, then you are a muhsin. It's very interesting. Because you have to ask yourself, what do you need to do for your neighbors or neighborhood to say you're a good person? Bring it down to the family. It was the Jahiliyyah community that nicknamed the Prophet ﷺ Al-Amin, the trustworthy one, the honest one. If your family was to give you a nickname, what would that nickname be? And if you are to have a good nickname, what do you think you would have to do? It's not just sitting and praying. It's not just dhikr. It's being useful. The Prophet ﷺ said, Khairun nas man yanfa'un nas. The best of people are those who are most useful to others. And so to summarize this issue of what are you looking for in a person, you're simply looking for good character, good akhlaq. It's not for you to measure taqwa, measure God consciousness. No, measure character. Fahkum bima dhahara. Judge by what you see. Remember, while marriage is called ibadah, from the Quranic definition of ibadah, ibadah means servitude. From the Quranic definition, it means you're doing things in the cause, in the way Allah wants them done, with justice, with compassion, with sincerity. But I would like to mention that when you say something is fi sabilillah, please remember about 4 or 5 things that you have to keep working on throughout your life when we say this big thing called character. Number 1, humility. Humility. And this is not in order because it's difficult to say which is more important than others. The last is probably the most important. But number 1, humility. Number 2, curiosity. So don't just be a humble person, be somebody interested in learning about others. Don't be the one who you wait for people to come to greet you. Go and look for people to greet. Don't be the one who will wait to be asked for help when you see help is needed. Go and offer it. So be curious about things around you. And so Abdul Fattah mentioned, you are looking for an opportunity to get married in those days when your parents and uncles would arrange your marriages. Nobody made it necessary, nor did any scholar feel it was necessary to tell you to go out and look for somebody. But things have changed. The age of marriage increases by 1 year every decade. You're getting older and older. And most of us got married at an age much older than when our parents got married. Usually it's an average of about 3 years. And that's going to be the same thing with your own children. They're not going to be children when they're getting married. So the need for you to really take this initiative. It's difficult. There's little advice. Most of the scholars actually will give you the same advice that was given to grandparents. You don't meet a man. No, you shouldn't talk. If he wants to talk to you, no. Let him talk to your uncle. And you know how that works. Your uncle doesn't even know you. And unfortunately, that's just the problem we have with weakened extended families. So, 1, humility. Number 2, curiosity. Number 3, commitment to growth. Commitment to growth. Be committed to always doing better. The MC was putting that, your yesterday should not be the same as your today. You're a better person in one way or the other. Sincerity. Always ask yourself, how does Allah think about this? You're not worshipping Muslims. You're not worshipping scholars. So it's not how does my scholar or my alpha or how do people think. No, you will be the one who will stand before Allah with no lawyer, no imam, no nobody. Actually, many times when marriage starts moving into fiqh, when people start asking you, please, must I seek permission before I go? Must I this in Islam? Must I? Your marriage is usually already on the rocks. When love and respect and compassion cannot solve your issues, you have to start looking at law. Your problems are bigger than what you're trying to solve. Yeah, you have to take a few steps back. And the last one, compassion. So humility, curiosity, commitment, sincerity, and compassion. When it comes to what qualities are you looking for, I'll ask a few questions that I think would summarize. When you see somebody and you think, I think they're good, maybe not good enough, ask yourself, is she the kind of person you would like your daughter to become? Is he the kind of person you would want your son to become? We all have a mental idea of the kind of children we would want. And on that list, you're not putting, my child should be handsome, my child should be wealthy, my child should be... No, you actually look at much deeper human qualities. So just ask yourself, this person you're thinking of getting married to, is that the kind of person you would like your son or your daughter to become? And if the answer is no, then you either do not know this person well enough or you've seen some things that force you to put your brakes on. Second question, are they okay as they are? This person you're thinking of getting married to, is he or she okay as they are? Or are you agreeing, I want to marry this person because of what I hope they will become? The person you want to marry doesn't exist. It's you concocting in your head that this person will become like that. Most people stay the same. Most people don't change a lot. Think about when you have your alumni and you meet with your colleagues in secondary school or in university. How many of them after 5, 10 years have actually changed significantly? How much have you changed significantly? Why do you think you're going to marry somebody with the understanding that they are going to change? Be very careful about that kind of gambling. Is this person you are thinking of getting married to somebody you honestly respect? You respect them. You appreciate this person as an equal. Why do I say as an equal? You want somebody you can argue with in marriage. You don't want somebody when you have problem you are tiptoeing on eggs, if I do this, he will do that. If I do this, she will do that. Umar bin Khattab, radiallahu anhu, was sitting with another Sahabi, I think it was Abdullah bin Abbas, and they were talking about the challenges they were having with their family. And Umar said, one time I was talking with my wife and she was talking back at me. And he said he looked at her because they were talking of how women have changed from Jahiliyyah to now. And she's talking back at him. And Umar said to her, is this what liberation Islam has brought? Now you are talking back to me? She said, if the wives of the Prophet can talk back at him, why can't I talk back at you? He said, wives of the Prophet? Yes, your daughter Hafsa, she talks back to the Prophet. Umar goes to Hafsa. We're cutting a long story short. You people talked back to the Prophet? Yes. Don't you know he's the Prophet? Who do you think you are? Blah, 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 blah. Daughter now, so she keeps quiet. You mean other wives also talk like that? Yes. Including people like Salama? Yes. Umar was on a mission. So he goes to Salama. I hear you talk back to the Prophet. Yes. How can you talk back to the Prophet? She said, wait. I'm just asking, is this Umar bin Khattab the one that is now meddling into the personal life of the Prophet ﷺ? He just backslided. Yeah. He just kept quiet. The Prophet was not the terror of his home. That even though his wives would be significantly younger than him, they would speak. If you have a problem, don't marry somebody you can't bring your problems out to. Don't marry somebody who you will always keep things under the carpet till they are smelling and they are plenty. Then one day you decide you've had enough, you've lost enough respect, then you want to bring it and discuss the issue when you've lost respect. I would like to end by saying, in fiqh, in Islamic jurisprudence, scholars recognize marriage as far, far more important than business transactions. However, for the sake of analogy, they look at marriage as similar to a business transaction. What they call musharaka, partnership, where you are both coming into this relationship with certain rights and certain responsibilities. And if one side is not fulfilling their side of the contract, you have a right to break the relationship. Marriage belongs in fiqh to the category of what they call mu'amalat, not ibadah from the narrow definition of in fiqh, which is devotional worship. And because of that, when it comes to preparing for marriage, in usulul fiqh, or in the principles of Islamic jurisprudence, there's one maxim that guides issues in mu'amalat, which is al-asl fil ashya al-ibaha, that the premise of things is permissibility. When it comes to trying to know the other person, everything is permissible except what is prohibited, not the other way around. In mu'amalat, everything is permissible except what is prohibited. And so as society and methods of communication change, you can learn about the other person from anywhere and any method that is permissible except what is prohibited. Would you learn more about them by looking at their Facebook page? It'll tell you a lot. In those days they will say, go and check their album, and it'll tell you a little about the kind of person this person is. Would you learn more from good friends? Would you learn more from the friends or the Facebook of other friends? Please, as you do dua and istikhara, please remember the hadith where somebody was asking the Prophet, should I tie my camel or should I pray Allah to take care of it? And the Prophet ﷺ said, tie it and pray Allah. Don't say I'm doing istikhara and that will solve your problem. Your dua won't work if you don't work. Alam naj'al lahu aynayn, Allah asks, was lisanan wa shafatayn, haven't you been given faculties? Allah says, wa shawirhum fil amr, that believers should settle their affairs by consultation. So consult with people, ask others about this person, do your very best. But as we heard with the shoe metaphor, there are limits. If you think going into bed, staying in the same house, living for some time would be a trial to know whether this is a good partner or not, Just look at the divorce rates of societies that have used those type of methods. It's the highest in the world. Yeah. So as much as your logic would tell you, oh, this is the way to really test, all the results show it's a failed method. I'll conclude with a few suggestions for further study. There's a field in psychology called human needs psychology. What are the big needs that move you? Everybody has about 6. Please do a search for that. We may not have time to discuss it. Study about what is called love language, the method of expressing how you show affection, and people differ. Google it. Muslims have written, non-Muslims have written. Look into conflict styles, your style of conflict. Some are more productive than others. And sometimes your way of solving problem compounds your problems. And lastly, what is called the emotional bank account or relationship bank account. How you do good and deposit good in a relationship, and the kind of things that withdraw and your account goes into red and people can no more tolerate the things you do. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum.